Hey guys, I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about M3GAN 2.0. So this is the sequel to the first M3GAN movie that came out a few years ago, and surprisingly this was actually one of the first movie reviews that I done on YouTube. So it seems that time just goes by very quickly, or I'm just getting old. It's probably either one of those two, I guess. But I remember reviewing the first M3GAN movie. I was actually very positive about that film. I liked this horror element, or the horror theme of the film, mixed in with its gory, also satire, comedy moments, essentially. I thought it was a very well worked film. It all meshed very well, and I was very positive about it and enjoyed it. I don't think the movie was amazing or groundbreaking. It wouldn't win awards for my taste, but I thought it was a very good film. And obviously the first movie was very successful. It led to a sequel. Now, going into M3GAN 2.0, I was going into it with some optimism. Obviously, this is the sequel to the first movie, which I enjoyed. But I was also a little bit apprehensive about it, knowing the fact that the direction of this movie was going to change its genre or feel, like more or less diverting away from its horror elements, which I really felt that was what made the first movie good, is the use of the horror elements mixed with its gory satire. So I was very apprehensive about it. But I finished watching the movie, I came back now, and does this movie live up to the expectations of the first movie? And the answer to that is no. I'm also going to be honest, I was very disappointed with this film, which I'm going to really get into those points later. So the story from the first movie, it follows a character called Katie whose parents passed away, and she lives with her aunt Gemma. And her aunt Gemma creates M3GAN, who is meant to be a toy doll who is using artificial intelligence to be the perfect companion for their children. And M3GAN forms this bond with Katie and to be the perfect companion for her. And then all of a sudden, whatever happens to Katie, essentially some violence or anything gets in her way, M3GAN will intervene and take over and do some violent attacks, do some sort of funny satire moments. Like the one iconic moment in the first movie was she was doing a dance, used a knife, and then just slashed people. It's essentially tries to act as like a killing machine doll. And obviously the technology gets way out of hand. Gemma and Katie have to deactivate M3GAN before it causes any other threats. So that's from the first movie. The second movie essentially follows that, but then kind of throws another thing into the spanner. So now there's a new doll called Amelia, and Amelia was created after M3GAN's technology was stolen, and essentially some people wanted to use it to create Amelia to take advantage of that technology. And essentially Amelia also does the same thing, goes on a rampage. They go to like an AI convention essentially where they show off a lot of the toy dolls, and Amelia is just there just causing havoc, just killing people. And that prompts Gemma to recreate M3GAN and also put more advanced upgrades to fight Amelia. So that's kind of really where the story is for this second movie. And the story of this movie is very different to the first one. And this is where I feel like the whole genre is essentially changed for the second movie, because now it's really one doll against another doll, and they're trying to use fighting upgrades to beat each other. So this is where I think like more or less they try to use more action than horror in this sequel. Now, I'm just gonna say I don't really think they really got it right when it comes. Well, there is no horror in this movie, I'll assure you that. But not only that, but I don't think the use of action was great either. Like very rarely throughout the movie that there was like moments that they will show like action where Amelia will sneak up onto a human and just kills them. but there's no like sense of gore or satire that comes along with it compared to like how the first movie would have done that. Like, I really feel like a lot of scenes do get cut off immediately when a killing happens. I don't know why, and it really just kind of takes the essence away from what I think made the first movie good. So it was really weird to see like there was like something that goes wrong, someone gets killed or cut off, but essentially nothing follows from that. But yeah, despite the fact that this wasn't a horror movie and there wasn't really any sort of horror or jump scares in this film, I still don't think they didn't do the action very well from what I've watched. But I mean, from a story perspective as well, kind of getting back onto that, there isn't really so much of any character development or any sort of story that goes along. It's a very flat story. It's not progressive from what I've seen, like how each scene progresses to the next, or when characters interact with other characters, how that develops their story. I never really felt there was any sort of development to it. And I feel like a lot of a very unprogressive story with this sequel kind of fails to build up any humor. Like, this movie tries to throw in some humor and some dialogue into the twist, but I never really. But I felt at that point the whole humor just died out because the gore horror elements weren't there for this movie, and you're just left with a story where essentially they're trying to progress a story about trying to rebuild M3GAN, I guess, following deactivating M3GAN, to try and sort of work a new upgrade system for M3GAN to beat Amelia. But essentially, I felt like the whole thing that led up to it is just it didn't really serve a point to it. And it was just very, very underwhelming from executing a story in some sense. But overall, I think M3GAN 2.0, in my opinion, is disappointing, which is a shame. Now, I feel like if this movie was its own identity in the first place, if there wasn't a sequel attached to it, I think maybe I would have been more forgiving with this film. But because the first movie came out, and I think the first movie was good for the fact that it blended its horror with its horror satire moments, and also its gore as well, I'm just not a fan of this sequel, to be quite honest with you. And I think it just makes the sequel just look weaker in every aspect compared to the first movie. I'm sure there's probably going to be some people that might disagree. Maybe they might prefer this new direction compared to the first movie. It'll be interesting to know what your thoughts on this movie is. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my review of M3GAN 2.0. If you want to share your thoughts, leave your thoughts in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. Dislike if you want to dislike. Thank you for watching. And yeah, that's about it. See you later.